I'm Daniel Steinberg, and you're listening to The Maggid Method, a new podcast about drushos. Today my guest is Rabbi Areyah Kaltman of Chabad in Columbus, Ohio. I attended a funeral where he gave a eulogy that blew me away. He matched the drusha for the occasion so tightly that it was a masterful work of art. The drusha fit the person's life. It also fit the person's name. He checked all the boxes. It was just incredibly powerful. A few questions for him. His approach to storytelling, what his goals are with every drusha that he gives. Clearly, he places a very large emphasis on practical takeaways for the audience.
They come to shul, then they come to shul not to waste their time. They come to shul to grow. Now, it's up to the rabbi to provide the apparatus and the springboard for them to grow.
He feels that Jewish souls are at stake, and so he has to give it everything that he has every time he gets up to speak.
It's high. It's like the last 10 seconds of the Ohio State Michigan game is 27-24. What are you going to do? Are you going to do Hail Mary? What are you going to do? How are you going to play? For us, it's high stakes.
Rabbi Kaltman has tactics to stay a step ahead of the audience at all times to keep them engaged. We talk about why Chabad shluchim tend to be disproportionately good speakers in the Jewish world. We talk about some of Rabbi Kaltman's mentors. The value that Rabbi Kaltman has for the audience's attention and time is off the charts. I mean, he told me he puts in 10 hours into a eulogy before he delivers it. We talk about the excitement that Rabbi Kaltman has for finding something new and obscure that the audience has never heard before.
I have it in that Gemara is in my brain. I have it put all the way back,
and then you can't wait to use it.
Yeah, so I'm waiting to pounce.
This is a genuine speaker, a heart-centered speaker, sharing the tricks of his trade. So, without further ado, Rabbi Areyah Kaltman. What summoned it up in your memory? This drusha for the exact occasion.
So I'll tell you, my dad was a Holocaust survivor. So my father's anything about the Holocaust. You see, this is really for me, everyone's different. I can only speak about myself. When I speak about something, I find a personal connection. And when you find a personal connection, it goes much better. So every single time I give a story about the Holocaust, in my brain, I'm thinking about my dad. So when I think about my dad, it's not a story. It's very personal.
You're reliving it.
It's not Gahak Tachainik. It's real. I'm reliving exactly. So there's a story, and where did I get this from? The Mittler Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe. So he was giving Yechidus. He was giving a private audience. And the guy came in, and he had to stop the Yechidus. And he couldn't handle it. And he said, we got to say, after this guy left, he said, we got to stop. So they said, what's the big deal? And he didn't want to embarrass, but he said, someone during the course of the day did such a sin, I couldn't handle it, because every time I give them advice, I find the sin in a very refined way within me. Mm-hmm. And therefore I find, how do I overcome this challenge, whatever, in very refined way. It's not a sin, but just I have this issue. How do I do? So the point is, it's like when you speak to someone and you give someone advice, you're really talking to yourself, and they're listening to you talk to yourself. So when I speak, I try not to get up there and hakachainik and just say words. I want to say something which relates to me. So for example, when I speak about the Holocaust, I'm not talking about some Holocaust guy I never met in my life. In my brain, I'm thinking of my father. So it's much more personal. It's like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that when you have when you do Krishma Shalom Mitzvah, or you have problems in life, you save that for a time when you do Krishma Shalom Mitzvah, so you can defer from one into the other. Mm-hmm. So just, it's like, make it personal, that's all.
And if you find that if you make it personal for yourself, if you're up there internalizing what you're saying and you're addressing it to yourself, then the audience will pick up on that? Is that...
No, it's different speech. It's a different speech. I get up there and I can say information. Anybody can get up there and say information. What's information? Information doesn't mean anything. I mean, it does. It's nice. It's cute. It's not cute. If it's Torah, it's holy.
Yeah.
It's a piece of God. It's about. But if I make it personal, I'm not just relaying information. I'm living it. I'm trying to.
Right. And the information is available anywhere. They can get it anywhere. They don't need you for that. I mean,
well, you have to look in a lot of books. It doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I'll give you a couple examples.
Yeah.
What's on everyone's mind now is the hostages, is on Eretz Yisrael. Everyone's mind. I mean, that's what a normal Jew is thinking about now.
Sure.
So I deal with Jews who aren't religious. I deal with all Jews, but that's my my bread and butter. That's where I'm at. So last week's Torah portion was obvious what to speak about. Last week's Torah portion, Dina is the first hostage in the world history. But I can't just say that. There's nothing to talk about. So Dina was the first hostage in world history. It doesn't do anything for me. So I had to find a segue, and I had to find an answer. And the most important thing is, and this is the bottom line, the word Torah comes from the word Hirah. Hirah means lesson. Everything has to be a lesson. If there's one quote that the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe of blessed memory, said more than anything else, was that. They actually checked which one of the things that the Rebbe said did he use more than anything else. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah. Torah is a lashon of Hirah.
Instruction,
lesson, practical application. So it's not airy-fairy, poetry.
Right. It has to be concretized into something people can do.
Yes, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So last week, Dina gets taken captive. Okay, she gets taken captive. So what do you want me to do about it? So I need a segue. I got to make it interesting. I can't make it too esoteric.
Who are you talking to? Who's your audience?
Secular Jews. Mm-hmm. Like close to 100 secular Jews.
This is on Shabbos?
Shabbos.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, but I actually, normally I don't do it, but this time I did. I liked it so much, and it was personal, so I put it in my newsletter. So
tell me the vote,
Yeah, so I'll tell you, so I found the Rebbe. I use Likutei Sichos non-stop. I use that as my segue. You know what I mean? Not always, but most of the time. Yeah, so
that's your go-to.
No, because it's great questions. Mm-hmm. It's incredible questions. So the Rebbe asks a question. People don't know this. That's why if anyone heard this, they would be fascinated. Where do you learn out the concept of bar mitzvah from? Where do you learn out from? Where halachically do you know that when someone turns 13, they are bar mitzvah? So you're not going to believe the answer.
I don't know. I'm stumped.
No, this is unbelievable. There's two answers.
Yeah.
One is halacha Moshe Sinai, whatever. That's one answer. The other answer is a Gemara in Nazir, and the Gemara in Nazir from the story of Levi and Shimon. It says they're called Ish, a man. So Rashi says they were 13.
Wow. So
the Rebbe asks a question: how could it be that you learn out such a basic concept from a genocide? How do you learn out a concept that we have to keep Torah mitzvahs when Levi and Shimon
wiped out a city?
You can't find anything else nicer to learn that out from? Now, I took that question. The Rebbe gives another answer, which is gorgeous, but it's very deep. The Rebbe says that a Jew, when you become a full Jew, you have to have Mesiras Nefesh, you have to have self-sacrifice, you have to go higher than Seichel. And the Rebbe but I have a secular audience. I gotta go. I can't.
That's not accessible for them.
Well, I gotta make the presentation. I gotta make the presentation practical and not esoteric, but something they can relate to. So what I said was, I took the Rebbe's idea and I said, Darchecha darchei noyim, the ways of Torah are pleasant, and because the ways of Torah are pleasant, we know that it says that if you have a lulav, and a lulav has spikes coming out from the base, it's possible. You're not allowed to use it. Even if you have 3 of the Arba Minim and you have a lulav which has spikes coming out, you don't fulfill a mitzvah from the Torah. You can have a $200 esrog, and if you have a lulav which has spikes coming out of it in its base, and it cuts your hand when you use it, no good. Why? Because Torah's ways are pleasant. So if that's the case, keeping all of Torah mitzvahs, you can't find a better story than that. It's
a better source.
That's the only place you can learn.
Yeah.
So the answer is very beautiful. It's all based on the Rebbe Sikha, but I just extrapolate and I digest it. I don't know how to use the word digest, but I assimilate it in a way that I can bring it down to people.
Mm-hmm.
So what I answered was, you have a girl. She's young. Some people, not us, some people could even blame her. She shouldn't have gone out in the first place. She gave it to herself. This girl caused it to herself, God forbid. And you want to know something? She has no political capital. She's useless. She's a little girl who got raped. It's very sad. We feel bad. But what do you want from me? I'm going to go put my life in danger. I'm going to go get into a war. And Yaakov says, Yaakov didn't have a problem. This is what the Rebbe explains in the Sikha. Yaakov didn't have a problem with them going to attack. The only problem is that people are going to think that they're starting the conquest of Israel. That was the only problem. Mm-hmm. But what they did, they deserve to be eradicated.
Sure.
So, we took the Rebbe's question. We dressed it up a little. We made it more, schmaltzy for the audience,
Dramatic, yeah.
Yeah, dramatic. I like drama. Yeah.
That's what you need.
So we made it a little more dramatic. Then we answered, that's precisely the point. When there's a little girl crying out for help, no one cares. No one. It's your problem. What do you want from me? Comes along someone who becomes a Jew, who turns 13, and it says, the Torah says, no, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to save you. You matter. You count. And I'm going to go on conquest to save the little girl. And that's being a Jew.
It's being a man.
Yeah, that full Jew,
Jewish
13,
man,
Jewish man. Yeah. So the point is,
right?
And
how did it go over? People.
Yeah, no. People said it was touching because it's real. It's not cartooning. It's not. There's nothing wrong. Torah is holy, even if it's not. Ben Surah Murr never happened. You know what I mean?
Right,
physically,
right.
But it means something spiritually. And there's nothing wrong with esoteric spiritual things.
But your goal.
My goal is. Torah is Lashon Hara. They should walk away with something practical. My goal is that I want them to increase in mitzvahs. I want them to increase in Torah, and I have to find something. The onus is on me. If they come to shul, then they come to shul not to waste their time. They come to shul to grow. Now it's up to the rabbi to provide the apparatus and the springboard for them to grow.
How do you measure if they're growing?
It's every person's different. Every Jew on their own. But you want them to grow.
Right, but I'm saying you personally, how do you measure if you're making an impact with your speaking?
So, if you take one step, if they take one step more in Judaism and Israel, it's not poetry. Just pie in the sky in nice, beautiful English vocab, and you tell a good story. That's great, but it's practical, guys. It's nothing doing. It has to be practical. But you try, you plant seeds. You can't.
Right, so every speech is another seed, or sometimes it'll have a practical application.
No, it has to have a practical application.
So, what was the practical application with this one?
If you see a Jew, and this Jew, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? What difference does it make? This Jew, if I help him, if I don't help him, it's just a kid. What do I care if I give him a break in life, if I give him a chance? In the big picture, I got a family, I got responsibility. No, comes along Torah, and Torah says, even though there's nothing political gain, there's nothing good. In fact, it's not good. They're going to think we're starting the conquest of Israel. But what does it mean to be bar mitzvah, to be 13? Go have Mesiras Nefesh and fight for that little girl. So it's Avos Yisrael, and that's what the world needs now. Avos Yisrael.
Yeah. So let me ask you, these are your people that you speak to week in, week out. There's some new people that come in, but this is your kahila. When you go to speak somewhere else, when you're addressing people that don't know you, so how do you start?
So it all depends who they are. Everything depends who the audience is. So recently I was in Australia, so they asked me to speak for the Lubavitch community. So it was a totally different speech.
Right.
It was a totally different speech. And then when they asked me to speak for college kids, it's a totally different speech. Then when they asked me to speak for a modern Orthodox synagogue, it's a totally different speech.
Right, but in terms of you're addressing people you're meeting for the first time that don't know you, you don't know them. Do you launch into the Dvar Torah? Do you take some time in the beginning?
About them, and Torah is so big that there has to be something the Torah can say about them, or something fascinating that they never looked at it that way.
So give me an example.
Oh, so many, man. So
let's say you're speaking to a bunch of college kids who don't know you.
Okay.
And you get up there and they're looking at you. Here's this rabbi with a long beard, long coat. Okay. What is it? How can he relate to me? What is he going to say to me? Why am I here?
I'll tell you what. I walk in. I say, in 1991, I'm an Australian boy. I go to one of the biggest universities in the world. I'm 207 East 15th Avenue. They have a hot tub, and I have a mikveh. This is in Fraternity Row. They are wearing togas, and I'm wearing a tallis. And I tell them a story, a real, true story that happened to me when I was 1991, and they're crazy stories. I was part of two bouncers. There was on 15th Avenue. It's called Not Al's. Al DeSantis. He's not even around now. He owned every single bar on High Street, and there was one bar called Not Al's because he didn't own it, and they were the bouncers in that bar. I have so many stories with them, and these guys, they when they said the Holocaust never happened in 1992, they were the people. We brought in Mel Mermelstein, who took on Bradley Smith, who took the full-page ad in the Lantern saying the whole... I got stuff to say. I mean, college students, I spent years on college campus, So everyone, I'm different.
Yeah.
The light stays the same. The keli, the vessel, changes.
Got it.
You just have to be very flexible and versatile to adapt to a different...
Do you ever find that when you're up there, you're speaking and you feel like you're not connecting with them?
It's not good. Once I see it's boring, and I get off. I'm done. It's just silly. To get up there, waste their time, waste my time, what for? Yeah, sure. But you know what? If I don't understand it properly, and I don't believe in it, it's not going to come out. I have to believe in it. And also the other thing is, the Lubavitch approach is very different. It's every single moment God's recreating the world. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they're waiting for us to do a mitzvah. They're waiting for us to bring Mashiach. They're in the heavens above, and they're cheering us on.
Right, so you feel the stakes all the time.
No, yeah, it's high. It's like the last 10 seconds of the Ohio State Michigan game is 27-24. What are you going to do? Are you going to do Hail Mary? What are you going to do? How are you going to play? For us, it's high stakes.
Yeah.
So when I get up, I can't hack a chinik. I got to know what the hell I'm talking. I'm sorry. Rabbi Groner from Australia used to say, it's better to say hell than be there. I have to know what I'm excuse me. I have to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You don't get up there, you don't prepare. If you don't prepare, you shouldn't talk.
So how do you prepare?
I spend a lot of time. I go over sichos, a lot of sichos.
So you don't show up somewhere and just start talking thinking that, I've been speaking for so many years.
No.
You prepare for every...
Well, sometimes they catch you off guard, yeah.
Yeah.
They say,
But
When I knew
in a
I was
perfect
speaking
situation.
in Melbourne, Australia, to the Lubavitch shul, I prepared. I didn't just prepare. I had to prepare a brand new speech. I've never given before. I had to prepare. Hasidic discourse. I can't get up there and just speak. They're not interested in knowing what's
heckling off the stage. Yeah.
No. I have to tell them something they don't know. So out of respect to them, I have to take out the books.
And do you use notes at all? I've never seen you use notes.
No. Well, I'll tell you. This is the truth. I asked one of the best speakers in the world. We brought very good speakers here. I said, how do you speak so well?
Who can you name?
Yeah, I'll tell you. His name is, what's it called? His name is, he's fantastic. The guy who ran against, who lost to Barack Obama. What's his name? Alan Keyes. He speaks incredibly well. I said, how do you do it? What's your secret? He said, I have everything clear in my brain. And when I have it clear in my brain, it comes out. Mm-hmm. That's what he told me.
Does he rehearse? Does he
No, he just said he has it clear in his brain. Mm-hmm. But it has to be logical and it has to flow. It can't be disjointed. It has to be flowing. It's like paragraphs. It's like writing. You don't just write one thing and then write something disjointed. It has to be a logical progression. So
you see your speech in your mind before you give it?
Yeah, big time. Big time. I like questions. I like answers. I like concrete. I don't like airy-fairy. You know what I mean? That's what I like. I gave a speech just now, Erev Rosh Hashanah, in the State House. So I spoke about my dad and how my dad was saved by America, but I didn't tell him it was my dad till the end. Mm-hmm. I spoke about Ronald Reagan bringing people together. That's what we have to do now. Well, yeah. I like to find stuff that they don't know. Mm-hmm. I want to be one up on them. And there's so much stuff. Unison Apeshitz on this, I'm sure it's just going around. Unison Apeshitz on last week's Parsha was incredible.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with it.
So he says, why did they make them do a bris? So he says, because the world will see that they're becoming Jewish. And when the world sees they're becoming Jewish, they don't care if Jew kills Jew. If Jew kills non-Jew,
that's right,
everybody cares.
I've heard that, yeah.
So then, when Syria kills 500,000 Syrians, no one cares. When Jordan kills the Palestinians, no one cares. When the Jews all of a sudden defend themselves, now everybody. What happened to the United Nations with women's rights on October the 7th? No, nobody's on. So when it comes to things like that, it's powerful. It's not but if you could bring a mystical, a spiritual, that girl, Dina, politically, she had no capital. She's not important. But guess what? She has a soul. And that's what counts.
So you told me that, this is a burning question that I've had for a long time, which is, how is it that Chabad, they seem to have a disproportionate amount of good speakers? I seem to find that any town that I've ever lived in, fantastic speakers. The shluchim are phenomenal, and I'm trying to understand how does that happen? How does that? Maybe.
Maybe because they're really sincere, and therefore when they get up, they internalize it, and when they speak, they're not hacking and chiding. And the other thing is, let me tell you something. When an average shliach gets up to speak, he doesn't know where he's getting his next week's salary from. He doesn't know. He had no clue.
What do you mean?
Why they struggle from paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? These guys, they don't have a community that brought them down. Yeah. They don't have a president, a vice president who does the fundraising for them. They got to hustle, man. Mm-hmm. They're
like salespeople.
Well, yeah, but not just salespeople, but they need God big time. They got to perform every single second. They got to perform. Mm-hmm. They got to make it happen. So it can't just be, I'm giving a nice speech and that's it. No, you're playing for keeps. Okay, I'll tell you something really incredible. It says in the Gemara, no, it says in the Torah, that you're not allowed to surround your enemy from four sides. It's an exception, but regularly you have to leave one side open. So one guy says, one Mefarish says that when you have Rachmanis, when you go to war. The other one's Pirish says no. When you go to war, you go to win. So why do you leave one side open? Because if you surround your enemy from four sides, he's going to fight harder.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be more casualties.
Yeah.
If you're going to fire a worker, you better give them a way out, or they're going to bruise you while you're getting rid of them.
Right. So they become complacent if they think they have a...
Number one, complacency. This is it, or you're done. You can't just have a speech. You have to have a real speech. If you're going to do something, if I'm going to write a letter to Balabas, it can't just be hogwash, thank you. It's got to be heartsick. People want a heart. People want empathy. People want it's hard, and it is hard because you know what? Because you have to find them. You have to find a hook. Every parsha every parsha, Baruch Hashem, thank God. We found something which can relate to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to make it relatable.
How do you find that people's attention spans have gone down?
Oh yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, it's just exciting drama, stories, and bring them in, keep them wondering,
Do you find that there's a sometimes when people tell a story or tell something funny in the beginning, and then they'll get everybody's attention, and then we go into the tochen, when they go into the substance, then people kind of trail off.
Well, the Gemara says most of the b'dicha, so you need to do it. You have to bring them in.
Yeah.
You have to. That's the Gemara says.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with it. It's great. It has to be a funny joke. It can't be a stupid joke.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But even if you just tell a story, a personal story, a heartsick, it has to be real.
Yeah.
People could tell if it's not real.
How much do you share of yourself when you speak? Any personal about it?
Yeah, it's personal, very personal.
Do you think that's important?
Yeah. If you want to impact them. Look, the Mittler Rebbe was looking for the problem in himself to relate to the person he was helping. It's got to be personal.
Mm-hmm. So you said something to me last night that you said it doesn't. My speaking skills didn't happen in a vacuum. So explain to me what you meant.
Because when I was a kid in school, I went to Yeshiva College in Melbourne, Australia. They gave us speaking lessons in grade 6 before the bar mitzvah. I'll tell you the truth, I wasn't a good speaker. There was a boy in my class, he spoke really well. Unbelievable. And he could just get up there and go.
It was a natural.
Oh my God, yeah, incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't. I just wanted to say it fast, get over and done with it, that's it, leave me alone.
Did you have stage fright? Were you?
Yeah, a little, But Chabad, the good thing about Chabad, they force you to do things.
Yeah, you pushed out front and center over and over and over and over.
They sent me, when I was a kid, I went to Adelaide, South Australia, like 12 times. It was the best preparation I ever got. I was like a student rabbi, had to give speeches in shul. You know what you're talking about, you have to have answers to questions. So it throws you in the deep waters, and you don't want to you want to know what you're talking about,
Well, what's the worst speaking experience you've ever had?
That's interesting. I'm just thinking. My bar mitzvah I just rushed through it. I was 13. I don't know what was bar mitzvah. I was speaking. When I was young, I wasn't. I'm not saying I'm experienced now. If I do a eulogy, I spend 10 hours on a eulogy. I'm serious.
And that's 10 hours that you were surprised by, that usually don't have time to...
No, it's 10 is staying up the whole night.
Yeah.
I stay up the whole night.
Yeah.
I stay up the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my eulogies that I give, they're painful. Because I put my neshama.
I've heard that.
It's hard for me. Eulogies are hard.
Mm-hmm.
because I'm looking for something. I want to make it riveting. I want to make it impactful. It's the final farewell. I want to leave an impression. I want to do v'chai yitzin alib. I want to give the proper respect.
Do you? How long do you decide how to speak for? How long?
No,
to speak
short.
You try to keep it short. That's your.
Well, it depends. It depends.
So
On Rosh Hashanah, I
aspect.
speak long. On Rosh Hashanah, I speak long. And Yom Kippur, I say, why? Because my Jews don't come to shul too often. Unfortunately. So if they're there, I want them. You know what I mean? So I'm going to chaparayim. So I'll say something very heartsick, soul.
And how do you know it's hard? Is it because it moves you?
You can tell.
You feel it.
You can tell. You can tell, man.
In what way? Tell me, because I have my own idea of what's heartsick. But
the way you paint it. No, it's not poetry.
Yeah.
A story that rivets someone to action. You paint a description of something, and the child, and the feelings, and the emotions. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up.
When you speak on a given Shabbos, for example, so there's two kind of schools of thought. So one school of thought would say, okay, I have to find something in the parsha, and I'll find a message that I could take away from the parsha. The other idea is more of a message first, meaning I have something that these people need to hear, and then I'll go look for the Torah to support that. Which
so I like the bulls of the famous story with the Maggid.
Yeah,
you put the arrow in the tree and you draw a bullseye around.
Yeah.
That's what I like better.
Yeah, so that's why I call this the Maggid method, because to me it's much more impactful when you as a leader you have a message for these people, and then you're not hiding behind the Torah. The Torah supports the message, but
you need to make it relevant, and you want to move them. You want to move them, and the achrayus, the responsibility is on the person speaking to move them. Value them and value their time and take them seriously and make it happen,
Okay, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I have one more question, which is, let's say you have a young shliach or
I meant
going into
young shluchim. I meant to. That's for me. That's very important. I meant to 3.
Yeah,
3 young shluchim.
So what advice do you give them for speaking? What do you tell them?
I just make it real, make it personal, and prepare. And thank God, Lubavitch, we help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, it's a huge network, huge. so we got each other's backs. So if a young shliach calls me up, I'll always help them. I'll share everything. You know what I mean? I'll give him, if they have to do a hesped, I have, I got a lot of stuff. But if a wedding, I have, and in the weddings, I like to make it different.
Mm-hmm.
So I got one of the biggest compliment I ever got was from a lady. And after a wedding, she said, it's not fair. You make it so hard for them to get divorced. Because you speak about what a wedding is in Judaism, what's accomplished, what it achieves. Make it so hard for them to get divorced.
Wow.
That was the best compliment I ever got.
Amazing. Are they still married?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
But and also don't forget, I grew up in Melbourne, Australia. So there was a Rabbi Grona. He was bombastic, 6'6". I don't know what that, but he's huge. And when he spoke, you listen, and he wasn't poetry, and he wasn't, he meant business.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Rabbi Chaim Gutnick, one of the most gifted orators in the world.
Still alive?
No.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke. If you go on YouTube, you'll see, unbelievable, very creative. Spoke beautifully. And Rabbi Grona pushed people much more to do mitzvahs, But listen, no one speaks like Chaim Gutnick, no one. you know.
So those were some of your influences.
Well, in yeshiva, when I was a kid, I didn't really listen too much, you know what I mean? When I was in yeshiva.
Yeah.
When I was in yeshiva.
So who else do you look up to in terms? Who do you admire?
Listen, the Rebbe spoke without notes. The Rebbe was real. The Rebbe spoke without notes. The Rebbe, it was heartsick. It was intense because you got to bring Mashiach, I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there. I have friends. And we exchange stuff. So we help each other. There are a lot of great speakers. In Lubavitch, there's a really, I like sincere people.
Mm-hmm.
I like sincere people. I think Yossi Jacobson is a wonderful speaker.
Yeah.
He's very gifted. I think, who else? I think...
Tao, Shay's Tao.
Yeah, I like him very much because he's real.
Mm-hmm.
He's real. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I love Rabbi Shay's It's fantastic. I like it that he wrote a whole book on a little 3 lines. He wrote a whole book, out of my understanding. And I'll tell you something. I was at a top lady. Ohio State University brings in a speaker on addiction. She came up to me. She's not Jewish. She's from Stanford. This like 6 years ago. And she said, I read the book, out of my understanding. Unbelievable. It's based on 3 lines. I asked him, I said, where'd you get it from? This whole thing that alcoholics are spiritual people.
Mm-hmm.
He said he took it from a Maimon, from a Hasidic discourse, an obscure 3 lines that the Rebbe says that the whole idea is they want to get rid of their bodies so they can have spirituality. He wrote a whole book on it. That's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
I like Manis Friedman. Now I don't have so much time, so...
How much do you put into...
I like Rabbi Bogomolsky very much.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who that is.
He's a Chabad rabbi. I like him very much because he's a big Talmud Chacham. He knows
Yeah.
the whole Torah,
How much original ideas do you speak about versus sichos and mamarim and things like that?
Not everything, but a lot. Like I gave you the example. I took the Rebbe's question. Because it's already, and also it's powerful. It's a klotz kasha, you know what I mean? This is where you're going to learn. I mean, there's so many of these questions.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Mamish love it.
You have to take someone who has no background, and you have to, without having. You can't spend too much time building up and giving them background.
But listen, when you have a scenario, Rabbi Eliezer Silva, he lost, I don't know how many pounds he lost, a huge amount of pounds, because he was on a tour of all the Sheretz HaPleita, of all the surviving Holocaust survivors, and you give the scenario in a couple sentences. Here he is, he's speaking to these broken Jews up to the Holocaust. You don't need to give a big background.
Yeah.
You don't need to give a big background. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
But I don't like to overdo the Holocaust thing, it's too much. Every week you don't want to have a Holocaust speech, But listen, there's a lot of stories coming out of Gaza which are powerful, which are riveting.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How do you collect stories? Do you
I have a good memory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now getting older. My memory for stuff which isn't as good, but really good stuff, I remember.
So if you come across something, you're reading or you hear something, it's like your eyes light up.
Yeah.
Like, this is...
Yeah. Like big time. Like there's a Gemara in Yuma, Mem Zion. And the Gemara says that this lady, and she has 7 sons who are a Kohen Gadol. So today, is it one son? It's unbelievable. One son.
Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kim.
Yeah.
Kim.
Kimsa or something, yeah. So it's Mem Zion, Amman Aleph. So it says over there that it's unbelievable. This is like powerful. It's a Gemara. It's just a Gemara. But the Gemara is mind-blowing. It's a little detail. So I saw it today, I freaked out. So I have a chafrus every morning. I said, I have a present for you. I'm going to tell you this Gemara. And he loved it.
But that this woman had 7.
She had 7 sons.
Yeah.
There's the whole thing with the hair, with the house.
Right.
Yeah, and then it says over there that she had a son who's a Kohen Gadol. Listen to this. She had a son who's a Kohen Gadol. And it says they saw an Arab, and the Arab spit went on his clothing, and they puzzled him on Yom Kippur. He met an Arab in a market, something like that, and the spit went on his clothing.
Sinor de Nachri,
and it became Tomei from Suffolk. And Rashi says it was on Yom Kippur. What?
I'm taking Larry.
Okay. I apologize for me. Wait, give me 2 minutes. I'm coming in 2 minutes.
The last one out. Is it actually 2 minutes or?
Yeah, 2 minutes. I promise 2 minutes.
Because
Okay, I'll 2 minutes. I'll take Larry. I said I'll take him. Just give me 2 minutes. I'm
I
going
don't
to
want
take
to
him.
take him.
No, I want to take him. Give me 2 minutes.
Fine.
Okay. So it says over there. Rashi says it was on Yom Kippur. Rashi says it was on Yom Kippur. So the question is, it's on Yom Kippur. How does the Kohen Gadol meet a guy in the marketplace on Yom Kippur, for crying out loud? It's unbelievable. So the Maharsha says, no, it was Erev Yom Kippur, but you still have a problem. The problem is, you have to prepare the Kohen a week before, and what's going on? So the Rebbe says, in Tafshin Chof, in 1960, the Rebbe says in the Sikha, just in passing, he says, this is the basis of the story of the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe stopped doing. He was going to shul. Everyone was very religious. They went to shul. They left the little girl, the mother with the new baby, and they went to shul. And he said, and the Alter Rebbe broke Yom Kippur to save her life, to feed her soup. So the Rebbe says, this Gemara in Yuma, Mem Zayin is the makkah for the Alter Rebbe. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And the Maharsha says it was Erev Yom Kippur, and the what's it called, and Rashi says it was Yom Kippur.
He left the avoda on Yom Kippur to go take care of.
Well, that's what the Rebbe says. It's a mocker. It's a mocker. It's a mocker for the story of the Alter Rebbe. But the story of the Alter Rebbe is so powerful because I could be, and don't get me wrong, you're going to Shul Yom Kippur. God bless you. You need to go to Shul Yom Kippur. But if someone's dying and go to Shul Yom Kippur, God wants me to help the person who's dying. Yeah. But the mocker is the Gemara in Yuma. My whole life I heard the story of the Alter Rebbe. Everyone knows that's like Lubavitch 101, that story. But the mocker is a Gemara in Yuma, Mem Zayin. That's unbelievable.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, no, something like that gets me hyping. You know what I mean?
When you come across a great...
So I will remember that Gemara, Mem Zayin, Yuma for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. So if I see something like that, it's trapped.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of Gemaras like that. I like Gemara. Mm-hmm. So I find the Gemara... everyone just reads. I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying there's Gemara, there's stuff in the Gemara you can take a lesson. It's so powerful,
especially if you're speaking and you're trying to help move people and transform people, and so you see things through a different light. Yeah,
but it's a practical application. But I cheat. I used the Rebbe to find the Gemara in Yom. I didn't find the Gemara by myself. I found it through the Rebbe. You know, but sometimes I find it by myself and I freak out. Mm-hmm. You know, I found the Gemara in the middle of nowhere, so powerful. Oh my God, it's like I have it, and that Gemara is in my brain. I have it put all the way back,
and then you can't wait to use it.
So I'm waiting to pounce.
When are you going to use it next?
When they ask me to speak, I have something, from a Gemara, an obscure Gemara no one knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obscure. That's why it's powerful. Medrash is great. Midrashim are fantastic.
You've been listening to The Maggid Method, and I'm Daniel Steinberg. Learn more about the Maggid Method at maggidmethod.com, maggidmethod.com. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.